Hello and welcome to another update video. In this video I want to talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin I want to talk about really because we are very close to the all-time high. I also was asked by a few people to make a Bitcoin video. Haven't really done that before. I think I did many months in the past, but not many people watched Bitcoin at the time because I think at the time really the altcoins were what people were looking at, and at the moment now obviously that Bitcoin is that close to the all-time high. A lot of people are looking at Bitcoin. Basically, everybody's watching it. Is it going to hit the all-time high today or in the week? So we're going to take a look at that. Obviously, have made some nice gains in the last 24 hours, also in the last 7 days. So what I want to talk a little bit about some Bitcoin indicators before we're going to take a look at the chart and do a basic technical analysis, and then we draw a conclusion. And in the end, I will talk about what I believe is going to happen. So the first one I want to talk about is basically the Fear and Greed Index. You might know it, currently showing Bitcoin at greed, not extreme greed, which is sort of positive, I would say, because if it's extreme greed, you can basically tell that we are pretty much overextended now and that it needs to come down again. So if this is pointing at greed, it just shows that FOMO is kicking in. Many people are getting into Bitcoin again, but we are not like in extreme greed yet. And we are here currently now shows greed. Yesterday however was extreme greed, a little bit higher, but there is still a bit of a scope to go higher even. Last month was neutral, for example. So if you look at the development over the year, this is 1 year. So here on the left hand side you actually have where we were exactly last year. So you can see that exactly last year we were pretty much in the same range. On the right hand side you can see where we are now. So we are pretty much here nearly at the 80 level. And last year, exactly at the same time, we were pretty much at the same level. Now, you know what happened after that in November? It really kicked off. Prices went higher as well. And traditionally, I think in Bitcoin or in the crypto markets generally, like the autumn was always or regularly really a good time. It's no guarantee it's happening again, because if everybody's expecting it, oftentimes it doesn't happen. But it's pointing towards it currently because, as I said, last year we were already here at around the same level. After that, it went up. So even though we are already in greed now, doesn't mean that we need to drop now, because if the same situation happens as last year, we can really spend a few months really in this extreme greed phase above 90 or hovering around the 90 level, until in last year then it dropped in January, and then it pumped up once more in February, and we had a pretty good beginning of the year. Sorry, I'm not talking about last year, I'm talking about beginning of this year. We had a pretty good beginning of the year and end of 2020. So that's the first one I want to show you, that while we are quite high on the greed index, we are not like extreme greed yet, and where we were yesterday, yes, but you see where we were end of last year and beginning of this year, that was much higher. Now the next one is the stock to flow model, which also indicates that we actually should push higher with the price. If you don't know the stock to flow model, it has actually predicted pretty well the price developments over the last, since Bitcoin's, since it actually started. I mean, it wasn't developed at the beginning, but it was developed over time, and since it has been sort of published, it has really very accurately predicted the price. So you can see here the colored line is the Bitcoin price, and this sort of brown line here, these sort of straight lines, they are the prediction of the price. And it basically indicates, the color basically tells us how many days away we are from the next Bitcoin halving. Whenever it was green, whenever we were getting into the green range, like we are at the moment, we were getting quite close to the price prediction here. But then afterwards, when it was really deep green, then we were getting normally here above the, at least last time that happened, and the time before, then we're getting a little bit overextended. And if that happens again, we should really get above 100K. That is what it shows here in this current bull run, and we are pretty much there where we should be on the chart. And if we look at what happened the last few times, so for example in the last bull run, we also we were a bit late. There was a little bit of a correction before, you can see that here. And we've been talking about the stock to flow model on this channel actually since the beginning of the channel. And at the time, I remember when we were in June and July, I said that I expect another good run in July and August, and that eventually happened. I would need to find that video again, but basically at the time I remember we were just in this little correction here end of June, And yeah, since then we really moved up very, very nicely, as basically the stock to flow model predicted, not as I predicted, but as the stock to flow model predicted. So I really stick to the stock to flow model. If you want me to do a separate video just on the stock to flow model, let me know in the comments. I don't know how familiar you are with it. I regularly refer back to the stock to flow model because it has been so accurate actually in the past. So let's take a look at the next indicator, which is the relative unrealized profit loss. And I explained it in a previous video. I won't go into detail again because I did it before, but what I want to show you here is the Bitcoin price is the blue line here, which is basically continuously going up with the price drops that we know. You know, it's just a volatile crypto currency. Generally, the crypto space is just volatile, and the red line here is this relative unrealized profit to loss ratio. And what we can see whenever we actually came into this greed phase, or even into the euphoria phase, actually euphoria, which is the highest one here, which you could compare to extreme greed as well, it's just another way of showing it. That is after, after that the price dropped. You can see that here, whenever we touched it briefly after that, the price dropped as well. And then also, of course, this indicator dropped as well, the indicator line. Then we went up again into euphoria here, and the price dropped after that again, and the price dropped after that. So it's quite a good indicator actually. And again, and the price dropped after that. Here we didn't, and now we have not yet this year got into the euphoria phase. We only managed to get into the greed phase. So this is actually still outstanding, and it shows that there is quite a bit of a scope actually to get still into the euphoria phase. So I'm really waiting for that. That's quite a bit of a difference to where we are now, and that would indicate there is quite a lot of scope to the upside with Bitcoin. And also the active address sentiment indicator. This orange line here represents the percentage change of the, I think, the last 28-day price change in percent. Yeah. So the thing is, you've got this upper band here, the red band, and the lower band, the green band. Now, if the orange line, which is that indicator, yeah, this price change in percent, if that goes above this red band here, this is an indicator that the market is overheated. So we are getting into the overheated market now. We have crossed that red band. That basically indicates that while the price is going higher, not enough new Bitcoin addresses are created. And again, I can go into more detail in another video if you want me to do it, but it's not so important for this video. I don't want to make the video too long. It just shows that we're getting now into the overheated market, but it also shows that in really bull runs, the orange line was much higher. You can see how high it actually went. So at the moment we are not that high yet. Yes, we are overheated, but we're not as overheated as we potentially could be. Okay, so it also indicates that we could see some more price increases. And lastly, I want to take a look here at the price chart for Bitcoin. We are really close to the all-time high, and if you remember, we're coming obviously out of this longer phase of a correction that actually started with this flash crash. Where was it? This flash crash in September, and since then obviously we've been correcting. I mean, early in the year we were already here at the all-time high. Then we dropped obviously in May, and since then we've been correcting. Then we moved up, came down again here, and are moving up now and getting very close to the all-time high again. And if you remember maybe me saying that I think, if we can't get to the all-time high, as long as that is the case, we could still be in an ABC correction. So we could still come down once more based on, maybe overheated indicators, and based on the situation that basically everybody's expecting now the market to go to the moon. But when everybody's expecting it, it oftentimes just doesn't happen, and we might need to maybe wait another round of a little bit of a correction before it then goes to the moon. But overall, to be honest, it is looking really impressive. We've been going up in a fairly short time now, down here from 40,000 to 63,200. And we followed this on this channel. Obviously, we had this channel here coming up on this throughout this channel. Then we had a bull flag here, of which I said, looking like a bull flag, potential breakout to the upside. I was expecting further moves to the upside, and it happened. Then today I posted a video in the this screenshot here in the Telegram group, private member Telegram group, and told them, this is looking actually like first it looked like an ascending triangle, then it started to look and probably more on the shorter term time frame, it started to look like an ascending wedge, which would have been a bit of a bearish pattern based on the fact that the sellers are struggling to push the price higher. Also, at the same time, we have here this descending, well, basically this bearish divergence here on the RSI, which is an indicator that, you know, we could be heading for a correction. So what I really want to show you here is that we are really struggling to push the price higher, which is not a surprise given that we are having two more resistance levels here to cross, and we made an attempt. The first one here is at around 63,300 to 63,500, and then we have the all-time highest there to cross, which is at 64,900 pretty much. So these are the two remaining levels that we really need to get through and to really have enough power now to do it. What makes me a bit concerned is that here on the 4-hour chart, obviously we see this bearish divergence, which just indicates that we are losing a bit of momentum. Yeah. And also, you know, we were in the overheated or overbought range, so we've come out of that now with this descending trend line, basically with this bearish divergence. But let's take a look on the daily, because here in the daily we are also, and I take this white line out, because here we are now getting also in the overbought range. So I think this just indicates that we are running out of steam, and that there might be a correction coming or a consolidation before we can actually push through the all-time high. And it doesn't need to be necessarily a long correction. I don't want to say that we come, as I said in previous videos, that scenario that we come down in an ABC correction, even you know, below 40k before we go to the moon. I'm not saying that needs to happen, but I'm saying I'm of the opinion there will be a short-term consolidation coming before we go through the all-time high. And maybe Bitcoin surprises us all and surprises me. Now, I know a lot of people expect it now to go through in the very short term, but I think it's a bit overheated at the moment, and it just needs that cool down period. Yeah, I just think it just needs that cool down period. And even though we have the volume going up, we don't see that much volume yet, that increase that we would probably need to see to really go through. I mean, there's a lot of people might want to take profit if they see that Bitcoin can't get through, and it looked a bit like a double top actually earlier today. Now since then we have actually managed to here, that was when we had this double top, and that's when it started to look like a bit like an ascending triangle. But since then we've actually moved higher a little bit, so it was a bit of a double top, so even a triple top here. So I was getting a bit concerned. I thought, you know, that's looking a little bit like a reversal pattern here, but now we still have this ascending wedge forming, which I'm gonna change it just now a little bit, which is still a sort of a bearish pattern. But again, they don't need to break out to the downside. They can also break out to the upside. But what that just generally indicates is that while we are sort of still in an uptrend, the buyers have more and more difficulties to push the price higher. So the highs are getting less high, if that makes sense. Not lower, they're still getting higher, but it just the momentum is just coming down a little bit. And yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to show you. Even here on the hourly, we can see that bearish divergence coming from there to this wave. And it just, I think, even though, you know, these Bitcoin indicators that I've just shown you, even though they show that there is still quite a bit of scope to the upside, I think here we are now a little bit overheated. It would surprise me if we just go through the all-time high, you know, just like imminently. And I think there will be a bit of a consolidation. Now, again, I could be wrong. It's just only my opinion. And I think, you know, this year we will certainly see a new all-time high in my view, but it might not be there just yet. I think we've come up quite fast. And I'm not saying it's a fake out to the upside. I'm just saying that we are just basically based on the RSI that we are overheated. And also I showed you on the indicators that there is scope to the upside, but they show already greed. And we might need that little bit of a cool down before we go through. And, you know, we're really at the tipping point. I mean, we're like $1,000, $1,500 away from that previous all-time high. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, in percent, how much, you know, where are we? Let's just take a quick look. Roughly, I mean, that's only like 2.5%. I mean, we can easily make that in a day. But do we have the power to stay above that resistance level and form it as a support? You know, flip it to a support. That is what I doubt a little bit. And again, it's just something to be aware of. Of course, we all hope, and I also hope, that we get through here, but I just want to make you aware that it is quite risky to get in now. Yeah, to buy Bitcoin now, in my own opinion, and that's no financial advice, in my own opinion, I think it's a bit risky to buy now. I would wait, first of all, for retracement. If no retracement comes, you can still wait until we break through the all-time high, wait for a confirmation that it's real, that it's not a fake out, and then get in. Yes, you lose a bit of profit, but also you basically reduce the risk significantly, because what is happening now, we're really at this tipping point, and we could come down 5%, 10%, whatever, before we have brought the RSI down far enough so that we can get enough power to go higher. I mean, that's just my own opinion. You know, it's only my opinion, but it just shows that we're a bit overheated, and from experience, it normally is an indicator if we are overheated. And also have this, first of all, we had a double top here, where that didn't play out as a double top in the end. We still climbed a bit higher, but we have this ascending wedge. And I remember last time we had this, we had a massive ascending wedge up here before we actually had this flash crash, which, yeah, people then say it's unexpected, but actually you could see already these that Bitcoin was struggling to go higher. And I did say it, I remember, a few times when we were starting to roll over here as well, that it was looking, you know, a little bit like here back then, that we were starting to roll over, and we saw this ascending wedge as well. And I can't remember if we actually saw one here in August. Probably would need to have a look again here on it in more detail. But yeah, I think that was an ascending wedge as well. So yeah, you can see it, that we were just struggling. It's always the same pattern that you can see when you reach the top, because the market is losing a little bit of momentum. Now that's on a smaller scale here, but it's just something to be aware of. And people say it's looking bullish, and yeah, of course it's looking bullish. As long as we are sort of in an uptrend, it's looking bullish, but these are the first things that can give you a heads up. Now we can also draw a trend line here, which is basically running alongside, it's basically the support level of this ascending wedge. And I would say as long as we stay above that, it's all looking good. If we drop below that, then we can drop a little bit, and that is then a sign for me that we are getting maybe into a correction or just a consolidation before we get more steam and more fuel and more petrol and whatever, more energy to really go to a new all-time high. So looking extremely bullish for Bitcoin. I'm just saying we might need that little bit of a retracement, and I'm not saying that we have to come down once more below 40k. I mean, it is still a possibility based on, you know, we're doing something here like an A, B, C correction, a more complex one, which would indicate based on the Elliott Wave method that we would come down somewhere around the 37,000 level again. And I talked about why in previous videos. It's all based on Fibonacci's, and I'm not saying that has to happen. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope we go through here, because, you know, I really want that the price goes up. I'm sure you want that as well, and it's looking good at the moment. Just might need a bit of retracement. So hopefully you liked the video. If you did, please smash the like button, and if you want to follow me on this crypto journey, then please subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.